climb, the world asleep, but we are awake, savoring the chaos with every slay. A napkin throne and a soda crown. In this kingdom we'll never drown. The night wraps us in its starry quilt. Our empire built on a food run tilt.
Houston now controlling. Atlantis begins its penultimate journey to Why am I small?
Hey everyone.
Hi everyone, welcome to the ENDstream. This is our second ENDstream, and we wanted to just give you a PSA once more. The ENDstream is just like NTV News and with all NTV products. It goes against biased media and it does not take any political side. We don't align to any political position. We want you to use your own critical thinking to judge what is real and what is not, and we value your opinions. On YouTube, feel free to check out the promo video named This is NTV. You'll see how the brand is pitted against polarized mainstream media and also the reactionary alternative news and commentary channels online today. The NTV team is working hard to find the latest and most relevant newsworthy topics to report on, and to do so as normal people instead of trying to do this like robots or propped up puppets. Just to add before we get the ball rolling, the ENDstream is broadcasting live on YouTube and Rumble as well as Kick. NTV news videos are on YouTube and Rumble, our channels there. And be sure to like and subscribe, comment and share. And of course, our socials are on X. You can find us there. You can also join the community that we have on Discord, which is growing. And that's where you can really communicate and interact, and where we hope to eventually bring in callers. I say callers like it used to be back in the 90s, if people remember, on radio, pirate radio, and also TV. And you can voice your opinion on particular topics that we cover, or also just tell us anything newsworthy. So yeah, we'll also have guests eventually through this stream. So without further ado, welcome. And can everybody hear me all right?
Everything's all good.
Loud and wait, am I full? Am I full? No.
Hi everyone.
I'm in what I think I'm still in
I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, but I'm being seen in like a little circle. You're full, and I'm
How
a
shall we
small.
do this? Side by side? Like this?
Yeah.
It's better.
Yeah, that's usually
All right.
side by side. Or how is it coming across? Is it okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, all right. All right. Okay, so well, it's all we're always working out the kinks. Anyway, let's get started. Where over the weekend we had some interesting things happen in Romania as well as in Poland. They had their elections. So the Romanian elections came to an end. I think it was on Saturday, where we discovered who was going to be the new president. We covered this in the last stream, and the results are in, as covered here. We have a video from Euronews.
Pro-West independent candidate Nicu Sordan staged a dramatic comeback on Sunday to win the Romanian presidential elections with a firm 54% of the votes.
E victoria voastră, să știți! E victoria mii și mii de oameni care au făcut campanie zilele astea, care au crezut că România poate să se schimbe în direcția corectă. Nu uitați niciodată forța de care ați dat dovadă săptămânile astea, pentru că o să avem împreună lucruri de traversat.
All right, so that guy won, and he's pro-EU, pro...
Yeah, he was the pro-EU candidate.
Was he liberal, or is he like centrist?
He was more of a center candidate. He was the previous mayor, I think,
Okay.
of I think it was Bucharest.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was the one that was pitted against Simeon.
Okay, and this is Simeon.
Dan's hard-right contender, George Simeon, received 46% of the votes in the unprecedented political thriller, which transfixed and
votes were very
polarized
close.
the Eastern
If he got
European
46,
country.
the other guy must have got more than that.
5 milioane de români care și-au pus încrederea în mine.
Shall I pause it?
Yeah, you have to watch out with the cursor because then it covers the subtitles. That's
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Nu îi voi dezamăgi. Nu există un lucru mai de preț pentru mine decât încrederea lor. Am fost singuri împotriva unui întreg system.
Still pretty close and pretty decent considering that this was very similar to how the AfD grew over the course of the last, I think,
Romania's choice brings a sigh of
in Germany.
Yeah, the votes must have been super close.
There, yeah. So yeah, and well, but that's not all, because to recap over this. So in the end, you know, we have a president who's very pro-EU, pro-NATO, and in office now in Romania. However, there's a bit of we were given word about some sort of shenanigans. Again, we cannot verify this 100%, but we're just going to report it to you like what we've been told. So
yeah,
there was now he's Pavel Durov, who is the Telegram founder, who's had previous issues with the French authorities, where he had to run away from France. He's come out on Telegram stating that there's been, he was communicated with to interfere with the elections. Do you have the exact? We have some screenshots where he's posted on. What is this?
It's a short video about it.
Okay.
A covert meeting in a gilded Parisian salon has ignited a diplomatic firestorm just a day after Romania's tumultuous presidential runoff. Telegram founder Pavel Durov revealed that Nicola Lerner, head of France's powerful DGSI, Domestic Intelligence Agency, personally asked him to silence Romanian conservative voices on the messaging platform ahead of the vote. The claim, made public on Durov's X account, has thrust France into the center of a censorship scandal reverberating across Europe's volatile political terrain.
Once more.
This
Censorship
spring
is
at
always
the
at the
Salon
heart
des
of it.
Batailles in the Hôtel de Crillon, Nicola Lerner asked me to ban conservative voices in Romania ahead of elections. I refused. We didn't block protesters in Russia, Belarus, or Iran. We won't start doing it in Europe, Durov posted. Hitting long-held
The interesting juxtaposition.
unfounded. Durov's revelation has
Yeah, so there you go. A lot of like interference. And for Durov, the founder of Telegram, to be coming out with this, like saying France was like interfering with the elections.
Well,
I don't know.
he had a previous issues with France before this,
Oh.
right? Which was what was it exactly? It was
Hang on.
this is the reason that he managed to escape from France and he went to Dubai. Where was it? Right, I'm just looking it up again. It's on Wikipedia, in fact, his arrest. So
Oh,
yeah,
I found
he
it. I found it. It's this one here.
there was a case against him, and he was arrested in August after
Give me
being
a sec,
accused of
I'll
failing
put
to properly moderate his app to reduce criminality. So I think, like a lot of new apps that have developed since the tech giants, have lost somewhat of their stranglehold, you have had similar cases against Rumble, BitChute, for instance, and also there have been also some sort of campaigns to go against X since Elon Musk has taken over. But what's interesting about this is that in the first presidential election of the United States, we did see a lot of interference coming from social media giants, like Facebook. And Zuckerberg would later come out, I think it was even on Joe Rogan's podcast, where he actually stated that he regretted how things went. And yeah, they deplatformed the president, off all social media, which is kind of election interference if you think about it. So it looks like this is a similar thing happening, only in this case, they're going after Telegram. Telegram has been seen as somewhat of a, the rebel in message apps because it doesn't really kowtow to any of the policies and standards of, the EU. And also, it is the app of choice by most of the people from Eastern Europe and further, like as well as Russia. So perhaps it has a bad reputation because of that. Although a lot of people do use it across the world, but I think they're being targeted specifically because of that. And it's one of the main social media apps right now that has enabled a lot more people across, the board from Europe and Russia, Central Asia, etc., to communicate with one another.
Yeah.
So it is interesting what he's brought up. This is the founder. And yeah, whereas I think the French government have rejected these claims, though, they stated.
Yeah, it's very interesting, though. I mean, they would would deny it, of course. Like what?
What authority doesn't deny? What when the CIA comes out and tells you, like, no, we didn't do that.
We're not saying we have proof. It's just that.
I mean, in all honesty,
that's what he's saying.
A disclaimer to most people out there who follow. This is my personal opinion about elections. I don't care who wins or who doesn't win, but they're always being interfered with. You have so many intelligence agencies and so many different camps vying for political order. It's a no-brainer that there's always some interference. This is not some sort of like James Bond movie where it's like, oh, the evil people are interfering. No, you've got so much rigging and interfering going on that this is why today most people don't have any faith in the democratic system, because it's just there's so many different lobbies, so many different components interfering, and right now, because the majority, I feel at least, that the majority of news and information is covered across the internet on social media platforms. When you have these tech giants and these social media platforms that have such a strong stranglehold over what can be shown and and what is censored, it's no doubt that you're going to have interference as well. So certain people are only getting one perspective of the news or one side of the truth, and that's the trouble. So
absolutely.
do you think that there could be investigations following this? I wonder if
I doubt
Simeon,
it. I mean, since he's voted in, that's my opinion.
this has happened in the past with other candidates, but some
could they
did not.
replace somebody if they found interference?
They didn't challenge it. I remember there was a case of this back in France in I think the first second round with Le Pen, but it was mostly to do with the mail-in votes. But she didn't try to contest it. She just said, well, it seemed a bit shady, but whatever. We'll see how it goes. I mean, those weren't her words exactly, but that's, I wonder if Simeon will push to investigate this now that this has just been revealed. But whether or not it's really taken seriously is another question. I don't know. It may just fall on deaf ears, because at the end of the day, I think for the interests of the European Union, they got what they wanted, realistically. I mean, they've got a guy that supports them. And also for NATO, I think it shows that it's a, the new president is a strong proponent of NATO. Although Simeon was pro-NATO as well, just to say as well. You have to get the guy's name, because otherwise. Anyway, following that, let's move on to then. Feel free to add your comments on this, what you feel about censorship, or how you think right now the climate with social media and also elections. Do you really believe fundamentally that elections are, completely legitimate? Or do you think that there's a lot of messing around that goes on behind the scenes? I think on both sides of the political aisle, they can think that. Poland, yes, here we go. So there was also the Poland election. Poland set for the tight presidential election after centrist takes first round. So in this case, the centrist took the first round, whereas Simeon took the first round, I think, with the Romanian elections, and then they were annulled. But in this case, let me grab that. Hold on, where are we? What are we looking at? This is an article from...
So hang on, I have a link for a video.
It is the Al Jazeera article. So Rafal...
Shall we watch a video? I have one.
Let's put it. There's no sound.
No sound? I hear sound.
I don't hear any sound. It's not on the stream.
Let me try again. Now?
Nope, there's no sound. Should I try sharing it? Wait, let me try.
Should I share the link with you?
Yeah, give past me. So this is Rafal Trzaskowski from the governing centrist party Civic Coalition. Also, wait, there's two here. Okay, this one, right. Let me try that. All right, let me try to share it, and then we'll... This is who's speaking right now. Let's share here. Okay. See if you hear this. Do you hear this?
Surrounded by supporters in party headquarters.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Surrounded by supporters in party headquarters, he may be signing a V for victory. But Warsaw's Liberal Mayor, Rafał Trzaskowski, knows that despite a narrow victory in the first round of Poland's presidential election, according to an exit poll, the race is far from won.
I told you 8 months ago that it would be very, very close, and it is very close. I'm very happy to have won the first round, but there is still a lot of work to be done. We must be determined. We need your votes. We need to convince everyone.
The capital's mayor since 2018 and the candidate for the ruling centrist party, the Civic Coalition, Trzaskowski has been vocal of his support for the European Union and Ukraine, as well as welcoming refugees, LGBTQ rights and abortion laws.
Okay. He sounds a lot more
progressive. The exit
progressive.
poll results deem right-wing rival Karol Nawrocki in second place, setting the two up for a second-round runoff, if confirmed by Poland's official election authority. Backed by the nationalist Law and Justice Party that lost power 18 months ago, Nawrocki is a historian who's positioned himself as a defender of conservative values. directly opposed to Trzaskowski's views on abortion and gay rights, and a critic of
Those are
refugees in
big
Europe.
issues over in Poland.
Yeah.
I will not allow the security of Polish women and men to be threatened by illegal migrants and our economic and business life by the introduction of the euro currency. I will not accept that new European Union treaties will be signed.
Okay, so he's not.
He's also an admirer of US President Donald Trump, and he could benefit if supporters of far-right Sławomir
It's always like
Mencen,
that.
who came
Left
third in
and
the
right.
exit poll, choose to back him. The winner of the June 1st runoff will have the power to veto legislation proposed by the government.
Wow. Okay. So that's going to happen on June the 1st. So we will obviously cover that when that happens. But in my opinion, it doesn't really look like either candidate is going to be. I mean, Tchaikovsky, sorry, the candidate from the centrist party, he comes across a lot more progressive because he wants to introduce a lot more LGBTQ rights. He wants to push for more abortion rights, etc. So I'm kind of it's kind of interesting that he's the centrist party, but and those are really like hot issues in Poland because Poland is very, they're very strongly Christian.
Traditional.
Yeah, very traditional, very Christian. I do think though that he's probably aligned a lot more of the West, or at least with like progressive Western values. So they're going to be on his side. Obviously, with this, with the more conservative candidate, I already lost his. Navrocki. He's no fan though. I don't think. Right now, Poland is kind of like a bulwark against Russia, so they're no fans. Although he's not the biggest fan of EU too, so like new EU legislation or policies being pushed forward. He's probably wanting a more independent Poland, but still, they're probably going to be very critical.
All right. Shall we move on to the next story?
Well, I'm just intrigued to know like how this will play out over time. And the question is, do you think that there could
this is
potentially
round
be
one,
any
isn't
interference? Yeah. And do you think that
There's
there
a
could
lot
be?
more.
Do you think that there could be some? There's no sound. No sound.
I can hear you.
What do you mean no sound? No,
I
someone in the chat is saying no sound. This is sound where?
Is it from one of us or both of us?
I don't know. They're saying no sound, but there should be sound.
Let me type it out.
Technical difficulties. Q. I don't know what they meant by no sound.
Yeah. I can hear fine. Okay.
In any case, in regards
on the
to
video, okay.
Oh, there was no sound on the video either. Okay, I don't understand why that's happening.
That's
though.
odd.
There should be. You heard it, right?
Yeah.
Well, to break it down, it's basically what I've just added on here. Instead of playing it over again, the sentiments of both candidates. You have the centrist candidate who's very pro-Ukraine, pushing for LGBTQ rights, wants to have a stronger solidarity with EU, and also pushing for abortion rights and coming across a lot more progressive than centrist. But and he won the first round. This was Rafał Tchaikovsky, and he's from the Civic Coalition. And he was the liberal mayor of the capital, Warsaw. We're kind of seeing a kind of, I've just noticed right now, there's a bit of a weird, have you noticed? He's also was the mayor.
Yeah, it's kind
of the capital.
Like we're in a parallel universe.
With Romania and Poland, yeah. And
his kind of repeating themselves.
He took about, there was no sound on the, okay. He took about 31 to 36% of the vote. And the electoral commission said on Monday, with all ballots counted. Karol Nawrocki is his opponent, and he's backed by the conservative populist Law and Justice Party. If you recall, who was that? It was a guy for he was on the PBD podcast. He's been a big proponent about anti-illegal immigration and building this whole wall alongside the eastern perimeter of Poland against all any potential refugees or
refugees.
Um,
Kind of reminds
now
me of
everything's
someone.
okay. You want to
Yeah.
try playing something? You want to try playing another thing off to see if it works? I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, give me a sec.
Who was the heck was the guy from the? There was this. I can't find him now.
Should we test the
Off the
sound?
PBD. Yeah, just to test it, to see if people hear the videos or not. PBD. But I can't hear it either. That's weird.
Can
Dominic
people in the audience
Tarsinski.
hear
That
this?
was his name. I can't hear it. No, I don't know why it's happening. It could be something to do with Restream. That sucks.
Okay, we have
So-
somebody who says it's okay.
You can hear it? Okay, then I guess I can't hear it. Doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah, the guy I was thinking about was, why is it in Polish? All right, whatever.
Should we
guy
go on
was-
to the next story?
Yeah,
Continue the song?
we'll move on. But yeah, the guy I was talking about was Dominic Tarsinski. He's been a big proponent of Donald Trump, and he's been doing a lot of tours around he's gone to the US, did a lot of interviews. This guy,
Okay.
if you look him up, you'll see who I mean. This guy, I'm posting his name over there. And he was in Law and Justice since
Dominic
2015. He's been pretty prolific. So he's part of the same party that basically Nawrocki is backed by. And he finished the race in the first round on 29.54%. So close to 31.36% of Trzaskowski. But yes, Prime Minister Donald
It's
Tusk
this guy,
said on,
right?
no, that's Donald Tusk. That's
yeah.
Prime Minister Donald Tusk.
Hang on.
Dominic Tarsinski is
Sorry.
that's
My bad.
not him. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, for some reason I can't hear the videos that you play, but I guess everyone else can. So maybe
Yeah.
it's just a problem from that's
Sorry,
him. That's him. So he was on the PBD podcast, and he was also in like some videos and documentaries where he's like been introducing people to like the big project of where they've basically created a whole perimeter with the military and a fence and a wall that's guarded from
Okay.
yeah, there you go. That's the guy.
Seems like he's very unhappy with
he's
some policies
illegal
from before.
Yeah, illegal immigration and immigration in general. He's very hard on it, and he's from the Law and Justice Party too, or he was. Yeah. So
All right. He seems like you don't want to mess with him.
well, he's okay. He's he loves Donald Trump. He's another, yeah, there you go.
Fair enough. I mean, they have similar policies.
But yeah, the two, it'll be interesting to see what will happen by the 1st of June. Will there be any election interference? That's the question. This is kind of a bit of a flip reversal of what we saw with the Romanian election. In my view, is that there's probably going to be a bunch of shenanigans, but in the long run, I do think that even though this is the conservative candidate may oppose views, especially the more progressive views of Trzaskowski, the centrist party, I do think they still probably see eye to eye on more international geopolitical views. So that's like, well, other than obviously too much of the EU political interference with policies and such like that.
Yeah.
Because the EU tends to be also pushing for more progressive agendas right now. So, but I think the conservatives in Poland tend to want to be more independent, and they don't choose to align. They're more aligned with, I think, NATO and the United States of America, as they have been outspoken about that. So I think the same would be said of this candidate in the centrist party. But
cool. Shall we move on to the big headlines in the news, like
the biggest headline,
of everything that happened in Turkey, and then now they met in Italy.
Yes. So we actually have a video coming out about this because we had some issues earlier, but that'll come out tomorrow, and it covers this. But we're going to cover it also tonight. Let me get to the point. Where are we at? Yes, the Ukraine-Russia ceasefire negotiations, or peace talks, as they call them. What are we looking at here? What have you got?
Yeah, this is Zelensky, like meeting Vance, and
so Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State. Marco Rubio. They met with the Ukrainian President Zelensky in Rome earlier, emphasizing the need for continued pressure on Russia and reaffirming Ukraine's openness to diplomacy. But the recent face-to-face talks in Istanbul between Ukrainian and Russian officials were brief and essentially unproductive to some degree in regards to resulting in a peace. This is proclaimed to be due to Russia's demand for Ukraine to withdraw from its eastern territories, which Ukrainians wouldn't budge on. So, but they have come at least to one agreement, which was an exchange of 1,000 prisoners of war between themselves.
Yeah, that was a good
So
thing.
that's one thing that came out of this that is hopeful. And Secretary Rubio expressed skepticism regarding Russia's commitment to peace, suggesting that Moscow might be insincerely engaging in talks merely to delay or mislead international stakeholders. Well, I mean, that's Rubio's position.
That's his job.
Rubio's been a bit of a stalwart, previously a stalwart neoconservative. So he does come from the camp of not trusting Russia. I think in terms of Trump's position, he wants to end this kind of Cold War that has this let's say Cold War 2.0 that is continued up until this day, which is why he wants to end basically the war that's going on, the conflict. The thing is now is that President Putin did not show up for the talks, but I believe it's because he essentially he's only going to show up when there's something to sign, literally, like that's it. I think
like the last blow.
And I think he's kind of maybe that's the problem on both sides. It's like when you've talked so much to the point where it's like there's talk, but it's like actions speak louder, and so there's some views that his absence was strategic to some degree.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, what if they captured him or something, like in the meeting? That would be ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. Thanks for put it a bit louder. It's fine.
The music.
Yeah, we have. I was wondering, like, why is it so thick?
Sorry.
This is after all our second stream, so
Yeah, I know. So yeah. Shall we just keep moving on?
Well, the thing is, I find this quite interesting because you have the. So Trump is still going to talk to both of them, he said, and I know that it's in his interest that because he did come across he put himself forward as the anti-war candidate during the election. So it's in his interest that he does end these wars, right? Or brings some sort of a satisfaction.
He has to. I think he said he would give maybe Putin and Zelensky a call, like today. Today's Monday.
Yeah, he said on Monday he was
the
going to give him a
19th of
call,
May.
and hopefully we can see some sort of developments there. But I think, essentially speaking, the ball's going to always be in the court of Russia on this one. Regardless of what a lot of analysts have said, the ball is in their court because, the thing is right now is that the Russians have they have control over the eastern territories, majorly in Ukraine, and this is primarily on the basis that for their own interest, because of protection, because it's on their border, and because they're worried, obviously, over NATO.
To be honest, that was why that was like one of the main reasons. Like Putin invaded, or there was. It was one of the main reasons for the war, basically, because NATO was getting too close to Russia.
Encroaching. Yeah.
And they had an agreement a long time ago whereby nobody, NATO would not have Ukraine and Russia wouldn't have Ukraine, and there would be that buffer zone. But then since NATO was meddling to get Ukraine within NATO, to encompass it, that would be right on the border of Russia.
Right.
And that's a big deal, because you don't want a major power on your doorstep.
I mean, there was an agreement originally between Gorbachev and Reagan, President Reagan of the time, which was on the basis of of returning Berlin, reunifying it, bringing down the wall, etc. Insofar as NATO's military bases or forces would not go beyond that point, and they have over time. And there's there's a bunch of other things, and you can argue for or against. I'm sorry, but who's to say really the position here and who's in the right? There are counter arguments, which is, well, why are they attacking Kiev? Why is that happening? Kiev is the capital. It's where the administration is. It's where the president stands. So it's obvious, but they don't want to relinquish those eastern territories. Predominantly, I can understand that to some degree, because they're worried, because that's too close to their border. However, the problem with this is right now is that we're seeing more incursion now coming from the EU, which we're getting to now, because this is now interesting, right? We have also now the EU, which is going to be spending 800 billion euros for defense. So the trouble with this is that even though there may be some justification in them wanting to maintain their territory, maintain territories close to their border, I don't think that's going to stop any potential incursion from, for instance, the EU putting more bases, or NATO, for instance, in this degree. So it's a bit of it's a bit complicated at the moment.
I mean, one good thing came out of the meeting with the exchange of 1,000 people that you mentioned on both sides.
Yeah, with the prisoners of war, I think that will be good. At least it's some sign of good intentions, I guess, to some degree, because unfortunately there's been so much loss of life with this conflict. It's been pretty devastating.
Yeah.
It would be good to settle it, but we're seeing now. What's this article you got? I can't
Here
see
it says on Saturday, Russian drone attack on a civilian bus in Ukraine.
Oh, that happened right after the this is wait, no, this happened right
hang on, I have a different article on this here. This one.
This is the strike that happened.
It's this one here, right?
And this happened right after,
this has been posted everywhere. So I don't really know what happened here, to be honest.
There was a drone strike that is being they accused it being Russian drones that attacked a bus.
Okay.
Now, obviously, with anything, whether it was whether this was a targeted attack, I doubt, because in many other cases there have been situations where there have been commercial airlines or other civilians in certain areas where they've been let's say targeted, and I'm not talking about in this this context. I'm talking about in other situations, and it's not necessarily a targeted strike. It's potentially accidental, or who knows? There's not enough information that has come out.
Yeah,
there's
I
not
think
enough.
It came out from the police on Facebook or something like that. But
when were the? Sure. And this was literally.
The
Saturday,
bus got destroyed completely, and
it's wild to think that this is now like how war can be.
Yeah, it says that 8 people were killed and 5 injured.
Apparently, no. The final number was 9, from what I understood.
Okay,
but where am I? When was the Istanbul meeting then? This happened right. I think. Right
Istanbul
after.
was.
This happened right. I think this was
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, something like that.
Yeah. Anyway, it just seems a bit odd, and I know that
the timing is a bit weird.
The media's perception is trying to make it out as if like, well, you see, this is like typical, but I don't know. I first of all, we're talking about a drone strike. I mean, they're saying it was a drone strike. So, and this is the trouble that I feel is with drones in general. We don't know. Do we know? Do we know has it been fully verified? We don't. But in any case, also the fact that drones, they're not like manned. It's not like a jet, or it's not like a tank or something like this. So it should be interesting to see if there will be an investigation that will lead into this. What the Russian authorities state in regards to this, I don't know.
Yeah,
it just would seem very petty and bizarre.
Yeah, it is.
If you're not going to show up to the peace talks, and then what? You're just going to strike. I don't know. You have to apply some logic to it as well. Like, it just seems. I mean, if you're going to strike somewhere, then strike somewhere. Militarily, it would make more sense. So that's what I feel. But
yeah, it seems a bit bizarre. Like, why would they shoot up a bus?
Criticize it, I'm sure, and make their own claims. So, but the trouble right now is that with any crime, and this is a crime, you need to have an investigation, and I think they have to still look into it before they can make such broad accusations. But going back to the EU defense investment, so they want to invest 800 billion, which is a lot.
It is.
And given the current situation in Europe right now, where we're seeing, a 10% rise in electricity bills, right? We're seeing inflation. Most people aren't.
I have an article on that.
Yeah, we have an article on the 800 billion.
Yeah, it's this one right here. So everybody's complaining about their electricity bills because they are extremely high. Like the amount we pay on energy is just ridiculous. Well, like in Europe, I'm sure it is around the world as well.
There's going to be an 18th sanctions package now pushed. Which Ursula von der Leyen, who is she is the president of the European Commission, right after around the time of the peace talks and where it basically didn't happen, she's basically pushing for an 18th sanctions package against Russia, and they're also pushing to basically restrict Nord Stream. So we've already had enough trouble because of the gas prices went up in Europe, and this is because of the whole conflict that has erupted obviously between Ukraine and Russia.
I think they were ready to have like a pipeline connection through Germany,
right? And then there was the whole sabotage of the of the other pipeline, which was later uncovered they were trying to claim that it was Russia, but it was obviously not Russia, and it was proven that why would they sabotage their own project?
It's pretty crazy.
Pretty crazy. It was actually American intelligence involved with that. I won't say their name because, well, I want to live. So, but it just feels like the average European citizen is getting penalized more and more. So gas prices went up. Now electricity prices are going up. Not only that, but the cost of bread and everything else goes up because of inflation.
Yeah.
And people are just fed up with it. Like at some point they're just tired. And the thing is, yes, it's, obviously people don't want war. People don't want people to suffer. But I think that Europe has been, and I'm saying this as someone who's apolitical from any side, but I think that Europe is, or not Europe, but people living in Europe, let's say, okay, living and working in Europe, okay, citizens of Europe, are a bit worn out because there's just been continuous crisis after crisis after crisis after crisis that has pretty much been going at their everyday living, and their quality of life has been considerably dropping. And I know from many people,
the cost of living is just ridiculous. Like wages aren't increasing as much as it costs to live, like rent and bills and everything.
The rent is going up. And these are real issues that we're talking about now, because nobody actually, I'm going to be quite honest with you. Nobody gives a shit about what's really going on half across the world. Nobody gives two craps about like what's happening, whether they finally come to a resolve over their differences, or historical, or God knows what. The problem is people actually give a crap about what happens to them in terms of their day-to-day. They want to get home, they want to work, they want to make their money, they want to be able to pay for stuff, and they want to get home and do their things. And it's just getting tough, and it's been tough now for a while. And this has been since the lockdown, since COVID, and that hasn't been helpful either. So it's just like crisis after crisis. Right after COVID, we had the conflict with Ukraine and Russia.
Yeah.
And then right after that, there's another conflict going on in the Middle East, which is a terrible thing in itself. And then you have inflation as well. And it's just a never-ending slew of things. And it's getting really tiresome. People are getting frustrated and they're getting fed up. It's no wonder why people just don't check into the news anymore, and why people don't care. People have literally just checked out because it just doesn't help. Sorry?
We have all this news coming out about Europe, increasing.
This is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Expenditure, while like the cost of living is getting increasing rapidly.
Right. So the job market is down the toilet here. Young people can't find work, and if they can, they're expected to make a pittance than what their grandparents made, or their parents made previously. You're told like, oh, go to school and study, you get a degree, and then you go. Bollocks. You don't get anything. It's a waste of time, waste of money. Yeah. You could spend like maybe a grand or something on a degree before, ages ago. Nowadays, you have to pay God knows how much just to get a degree. And even in that regard, it doesn't really help you much nowadays, because everything's oversaturated. But here we go, exactly going back to what we were talking about previously, like whether we get to these peace talks or not, right, between Russia and Ukraine, what's really going to happen? Yeah. Well, the EU is already bolstering up
drones.
Right. Europe is developing its own military-industrial complex. And we already know how that went back in the United States of America, because, the military-industrial complex was developed out of the 50s from World War II. Eisenhower,
huge industry.
And Eisenhower warned about it, and they've been at the heart of the majority of problems all across the globe, because they profit from war profiteering. And in fact, it's been the military-industrial complex, in my opinion, again, this is my opinion, it's not sanctioned by anybody else, the military-industrial complex that has actually continued the Cold War. The Cold War 2.0. It's been the military-industrial complex.
Call this like a peace project. Well, in fact, it's anything but.
Yeah.
Like, why would you fund like war drones? Is that for peace?
Well, there you go. Yeah. I mean, and
we're paying for it.
But to be honest, I'm going to say the truth as well. Like, I believe that this will actually create new jobs and probably, make the euro get stronger, because if the EU has its own military-industrial complex, it will bolster its economy as well. I don't think that's necessarily a good way.
Yeah.
What? Sorry?
Turkey make a lot of drones.
I mean, Turkey is already like it has been, many people have been talking about it in the past, but the analysts as well, they've been stating how it can become like in its own right a kind of like a new military superpower, because it is already pretty strong. It's already
It's a big
up
country.
there. In fact, it could be a contender, even though it's not in the Middle East, but it could be a major contender in like, delegating things in the Middle East, given the fact that their military, because of their tech and stuff, it's increasing, it's getting better. So yeah, but the EU wants to now shift, and we're seeing car manufacturers, because they can't make cars anymore. It's so expensive. There was a video, I think, about that. But yeah, Volkswagen and Audi, and also the electrics manufacturer from Germany, Bosch, they are moving into weapons production. Crazy. It feels almost like we're going back into, in time. We're going back to World War II, when you had a lot of these, companies like Ford and etc., who shifted gears into helping the war economy during that time, and manufacturing using their factories, etc. So now we're seeing this develop in Germany, where Volkswagen and Audi, and it's confirmed that Volkswagen is actually it will be building weapons in its factories, not all, but in some of its factories. And so we are seeing the rise of a new European or EU military industrial complex develop here, folks. I find that worrying, because even though it will increase the economy, it will bring jobs. All I can say is, just like Eisenhower is, I don't know, can you find that video by Eisenhower? That's a very, very, very good. If we can play that, that would be great, because it's a good
Which
reminder.
one is
It was his final speech of the of the military industrial complex, where he was leaving office, and he wanted to warn the people about it. It's just a short snippet of it. I think it's very telling, and it's very important to listen to it, because we forget, this is what the reason that most of the wars that have been going on in the world since then have been because of, the military industrial complex that came out of the United States of America. It's not an American military industrial complex, because it sprawls across the whole world. But now what we're seeing is the same development, and I see it. I'm telling you right now, I'm calling it, like, this is the development of a new one coming right out of EU. And I can tell you one thing: if you think that a military industrial complex, which is for the purpose of EU defense, because they're investing now 800 billion when they should be putting that into social programs and other things, like the elderly citizens here are not being helped, people who have social disabilities,
people are dying,
the homeless, we have a homeless crisis, mental health crisis going on.
Let's not
there's
even
plenty
get
of
into
things,
the job problems.
right? There's plenty of things to deal with. But no, let's put this into defense, right? Because we really need it, right? Apparently, we're being attacked all over the place.
Probably all politicians in the EU, like under the table deals with commissions.
So they're going to build. They're going to bolster up this and you're going to see a bunch of people like praising this, like saying, "Oh no, yeah, this is a great idea." These people are so dumb that they don't understand. I'm sorry to say, but you don't understand when you build up a military-industrial complex, and what does a military-industrial complex mean? Because this is just a buzzword. No. Military-industrial complex is when you put the military, which is the sole purpose of the military, is national, for defense. Nothing more, nothing less. It's voluntary in some cases, but in other cases, it was mandatory, because it's in defense of your country. The citizens would have to enter into the military, or be drafted, or volunteer to help to defend the nation, to defend the country, right? Why am I getting pings here? I'm in the middle of a rant here. I'm in the middle of this. Wait, oh, God, I hate when people DM me. No, hold on. We have time anyway.
Sure.
And what was I saying? Yeah. So when you combine industry with the military, you're basically commercializing the military. So therefore, you're turning it into a business. That's when it gets scary, because that means war brings business. Death brings business. That means you're going to have never-ending wars, just like we've had. Endless wars. Everything that happened in the Middle East, military-industrial complex, folks. That was it. That was the reason. They can tell you all sorts of nonsense. Oh, it was terrorists and this. Sure, but who created the terrorists? It was again the whole business behind this. So that's what I want to say. That's why it's called the military industrial complex, and that's the scary part of it. But sure, it'll bolster the economy for 10 years in Europe, and people will be happy because the economy goes up and people getting jobs, and you're manufacturing weapons and stuff. But it's not a good thing in the long run, because we've seen that with the United States of America.
Yeah.
And look where they are right now. So anyway, let's play that video because it yeah.
Hang on. Sorry about that. It was a documentary. I thought it was his actual in one go.
Final speech. I can't hear his videos. I don't know why. When he plays. Why is that?
I don't know, to be honest.
I'm asking a technical person here. I don't know. Is there?
Shall I find another video?
Yeah, find it. I'll look it up and I'll send it to you. Hold on. I know the exact
2
one.
minutes. I think I found it.
Yeah, here. It's the Eisenhower final address, military industrial complex. 2 minutes. Perfect. I'll send it to you. Here,
Is it the same one?
It's 2 minutes. It's literally 2 minutes long, the video. It's just It's obviously his farewell address is longer, right? But this is just the part where he warns about the military industrial complex. That's the most important thing in the video. I can't hear anything. Yeah.
He has to switch on the little button for when you are sharing screen.
He is.
A little speaker and say, okay, I want to share this. Share screen. To share a window, you have to click on audio. You cannot do windows with audio. You can only, the whole tab is audio.
Give me a second. What's the issue?
What? No, is that I can't, but I guess people can hear it. I'm not sure. Can someone tell us if they can hear the sound or not from the video? Because apparently when you share screen, you have to click.
What speaker? By the way,
I don't know. This is what I'm being.
Okay.
Share the tab. I think we're gonna put a little stand.
It's on. It is on.
I don't hear anything.
Well, let me play it now.
I hear it now.
Added to this, 3.5 million men and women are directly engaged in the defense establishment. We annually spend on military security alone more than the net income of all United States corporations. Now, this conjunction of an immense military establishment and a large arms industry is new in the American experience. The total influence, economic, political, even spiritual, is felt in every city, every state house, every office of the federal government. We recognize the imperative need for this development, yet we must not fail to comprehend its grave implications. Our toil, resources, and livelihood are all involved. So is the very structure of our society. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist.
Wait, can you hear now? God damn. Anyway, but there you go. Eisenhower warning is in his final address. I can't hear you now.
Sorry, everyone. I muted myself. But in the video, we're trying to figure out like why the audio wasn't working or not. And,
it worked now. I can hear it, but apparently now we have someone on YouTube saying they can't hear it. So I don't know.
I'm not sure if it's our voice or the video.
I don't know if
we were
they're delayed. They could be delayed. Maybe they didn't hear it before.
Okay, it could be.
When I said, "Oh, can you hear it?" and now, but they should have been. I have no idea.
Yeah. Anyway, what I suggest to everyone is to have a look on YouTube. Look for Eisenhower.
You're gonna have to give us more feedback than no. Okay, you can't hear it. Okay, I don't know why you can't hear it. Maybe we should.
Yeah, we're getting some people in the chat saying they do, and other ones that they don't.
Yeah.
Maybe it depends on the platform that they're on.
I guess it is because we're streaming across 3 different platforms, but it doesn't make sense why they can't hear it.
Okay, it's something we need to figure out.
Yeah. Anyway, but Eisenhower is basically just state warning as he leaves office about the rise of this military-industrial complex, which was pretty much developed out of World War II because which was necessary at the time because during World War II, so many components of business and just regular life. Regular life were combined, with the war effort. So it was very tricky. Now you can hear. Okay, there's a delay then, dude. They're delayed. Then that was like that was
it must have been from before, from the other video.
Yeah. Welcome to the ENDstream where nothing goes right. Everything's amazing. Anyway. Oh God. Well, we're starting off, so this is normal. We're gonna have hiccups. But yeah, feel free to comment and tell us what your thoughts are about the military-industrial complex.
The thing is, though, is that it's not just the EU that's been reported on.
Oh yeah, of course.
About such things. So, for example, here we have like NATO, and
so
people
NATO's
are
in
like
the crosshairs, literally.
Yeah.
By Belgian authorities because they've been up to no good, which makes you again wonder like who's telling the truth here or there, like who to trust. Nothing is black and white, people. Nothing is black and white, like I've been saying, and it doesn't matter what one source says or the other. So right now, guess what NATO's been up to? Well,
do you know why?
Do I know why?
Just an observation. Do you know why they write their name the other way around? OTAN. Underneath NATO.
I think that's the French abbreviation. It basically means OTAN is the in French we say OTAN because it commonly that's the French and Portuguese and Spanish acronym for NATO, which I'm trying to find the Organisation Transatlantique.
The letters are always mixed up.
That's what it
like
refers to.
AIDS is SIDA in French. I'm just saying that they're using the same letters, but the other way around.
Yeah, so basically it's Organisation Transatlantique
Nord.
I guess.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess Nord. Yeah. North for North. So it's the North Atlantic Alliance, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. That's actually what NATO stands for.
Yeah.
And
so like they've been investigated by French authority, the authorities in Belgium.
Belgian authorities.
So
So the reason they're being investigated. Sorry, just a second. The reason they're being investigated, interestingly enough, is for the procurement of defense contracts, which is a bit shady. So they've been giving defense contracts, military contracts under the table to certain people. So apparently a bit shady there. But again, this is what I'm talking about. Like, what do you expect? This stuff goes on all the time. And
That's
we just
crazy.
covered not too long ago about we just covered not too long ago about how the EU was not transparent enough with its where it was with its funding to NGOs, and that they were called into question, and they're still investigating that. Well, now you got this. This is not a good look.
It's like
And
never ending, this thing.
right.
And these
This
are
is
like massive organizations that are meant to be
yes,
like part of the governments. These are like official guys who do deals. Like them being
yeah,
arrested is just on another level. This is not your
and
everyday weapons dealer on the road. These are massive contractors.
yeah, exactly. And
If you've
was
seen
my
Lord of War with
is my
Nicolas
voice okay?
Cage, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and this is the trouble because this all these institutions that people used to believe in and they used to just think were stand up, well, no, they have never been, by the way. In my opinion, there's always been shady practices going on. It's always been this has always been my thought about it. Like, I never have trusted a lot of institutions or major organizations or corporations because I know that there's always a lot of shady business that goes behind closed doors. I've seen this type of stuff myself, unfortunately. So this corruption it's good that it's coming to surface because, again, like I was saying not too long ago, people are getting fed up with everything. They're just tired, and now at least it's coming to surface more and more how things are not as transparent
Yeah.
as they are, and now hopefully to those who have cognitive dissonance, they're seeing now that it's not as black and white, because there's this whole mentality where it's like, well, NATO can do no wrong. Wrong. They have been doing wrong, and they're just as guilty as the people that you want to blame for everything else as well. You see, the reality in politics is this, in my view, right? There's never a good side. Politics is dirty, and the military is even dirtier.
Dirty business. Like,
you got politics, and then you got
never
the military.
disregard also the people pointing the fingers all everywhere.
Yeah,
because they should be held accountable just as much as everyone else. Like,
yeah. So like, that's what I'm saying. If politics is dirty, the military is dirtier. It's always been like this. That is the case. So there's not too much information that has come out. Wait, let me have a look. Which one is this? Is the Euro Active
this is Euro
article, right?
Active.
Which
And
was
they're
that
talking
one?
about investigations on deals for
Yeah.
drones and ammunition.
Yeah. So this is like arms deals that have been going under the table, which is basically the black market, which is what happens. I mean,
look at these deals, like 5.5 billion deals for several countries to purchase 1,000 Patriot missiles.
The investigation concerns possible irregularities in awarding contracts to defense contractors for the purchase of military equipment for NATO, such as ammunition and drones. While the NSPA is the NATO Support and Procurement Agency, has long worked in the shadows. The agency, well, that's not good. The agency employs 1,500 and has received increased publicity over recent months, obviously due to the current conflict, including through a 5.5 billion euro deal for several countries to purchase 1,000 US-made Patriot missiles. That was that whole big debacle previously, where they sold off those missiles. It was for Ukraine. So there's a lot of
shady business. They say it themselves. NSPA has long worked in the shadows.
2 people were arrested in Belgium and questioned by the police. The prosecutor's office stated the police issued an arrest warrant against one person and released the other. I mean, I'm sorry to say, but I'm reading this off the article. But the problem is that that's no info. It's like one person was arrested, and then that person is.
Like, and surely there's a lot more involved. Like,
but you can't even say who the person is or what their title or role is. So it's just one person was arrested. That's it.
Even interrogate them.
Another 3 people were arrested by the. So it says here as well, another 3 people were arrested by the Dutch public prosecution, a statement said. One former Dutch Defense Ministry employee responsible for international purchase contracts was arrested on corruption charges.
Here we're talking about NATO, like in Brussels. Like, is it Brussels? I mean, it's in Belgium.
Well, they have headquarters. They have different headquarters, but yeah, they're
Yeah,
I think the main headquarters is actually the main NATO headquarters is in Belgium, Brussels.
Okay.
I'm just confirming that. So yes, Brussels, Belgium. It's the main NATO headquarters.
Yeah, it's a huge building, right?
I mean, Brussels is kind of like the capital. Sorry, Belgium is the capital of Europe, technically. So then any administration for European Union or any sort of international organizations will be based in Brussels. But yeah, this is very interesting because this beggars the question as to, well, what's really going on then? And perhaps maybe there's more rhyme and reason to why the Russians don't trust the Western alliances, Western alliance. I'm thinking Star Wars now. Western forces and the Western forces and NATO. You know, it's not.
Yeah.
The problem is if you want to play ball, you've got to also you have to also bring your game. And if you're not playing right, and no one's been playing right since the start. Let's be honest. Then no one wins in the end. There's no winner. It's just it's a zero-sum game basically, and this is the trouble right now. So I don't really know what'll happen. But yeah, we can see that now we're seeing the build up of a EU defense. Lots of money being funneled there. Again, how transparent are they going to be, especially already with the previous scandal? I wonder what really the people think about that. What the regular average European citizen is going to think, especially when they're struggling with electricity bills and so forth. And then on top of that, you got this NATO scandal. And then we also have the fact that we don't have any, resolved peace with the whole Ukraine-Russian situation.
Yeah, it's been going on for a while.
It just feels like on the horizon, things aren't really... I mean, I don't want to be negative, but it's just like it just doesn't feel like things are really working out towards a culmination of that's going to be in the interest of everyone, but maybe only in the interest of very few individuals, and that's the problem. It always seems to be honest,
like with a ceasefire, they really need to decide on what's going on. Like they need to make a decision. Like on the one hand, they can say, "Oh, they didn't Putin was a no-show." Yeah, sure, but he had representatives over there.
I mean, the criticism was that. Yeah, the criticism though was that he sent a very low-tier delegation. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. But then at the same time, because he didn't go, Zelensky didn't go either. So
to be honest, isn't everybody low tier compared to?
I mean, true. But as I said, I think that President Putin is only going to show up when he's going to sign a treaty.
Yeah, and he's the one who's going to ultimately decide. It's not going to be anyone else.
I think the only way to resolve this is to actually have a proper treaty, one that's not broken this time or that's messed around with, and that has some ramifications.
No shenanigans.
Well, I think that ramifications shouldn't be threatening ones, but they should be business-wise. So the ramifications.
Trump wasn't even there, was he? Or was he?
Well, I don't think he was supposed to go, but he now wants to meet.
He was in the Middle East, though. It's not.
Yeah, he was on his Middle East tour with Elon Musk.
So it's in Saudi Arabia.
Promoting AI.
And Qatar. But I think it's pronounced differently.
Qatar. But yeah, I think and tell us what you think about all of this. If you're European, if you what your views are. But I think a lot of questions need to be asked, and I think sometimes we have to maybe we do go for a small break, but in the meantime, let's before we go for a small break, let's just cover up let's cover something a bit more. Hey, here we go. By the way, I do some crazy artwork. Mind if I can share it with you? Just want some suggestions about my work.
That's how bad it is.
Here's my Discord username. Why are we getting all these people from Kick? Asking. I mean,
hey,
go
guys.
ahead. Good.
Hey, everyone from Kick.
Welcome. We're getting some people from Kick, so that's cool.
It's our second live stream, by the way.
It's our second live stream, and it's scuffed, but it's all right. We like it scuffed, but we're getting better. So But we're gonna go for a little break. But before that, we should just cover the because we're probably gonna go for a bit longer, just because we have had some mess ups. If that's all right, what do you think, Edge? Just a bit longer.
Cover what? The
Eurovision song contest.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean we have to cover it because it was
wait.
also on this crazy
Wait up.
weekend that everything
One
happened,
sec.
right?
Let me fix this.
On the weekend where you had like the Polish first round election, Romanian final
Man,
round of
crazy
election,
people.
and then you had the whole, you know,
Nobody takes it seriously. Let's face it.
I mean, it's always been a shit show to begin with, like and actually since the
And it's
Irish
always political,
out,
right?
I mean, it's always been political. I mean, and the Irish, since they pulled out, they were the only country that actually had any talented, you know, or talent in singers.
To be honest, Sweden wasn't that bad this time.
Okay,
it was over the top, but
hold on. The hell?
I saw a few clips from all the contestants, and half of them were really, really bad. Should I play this clip? I don't know what it.
Yeah, but let's just first go through a few things. So first of all, Austria won, okay, which is interesting.
This is this person on the right.
And I don't know what the name, because I didn't really watch it, but what was the name of the band or the thing or the whatever they are? I don't know, but they won it. After a nail-biting finish with Israel, which placed Israel came second.
I have a video on that. This
Israel came second, right? Okay.
Can we have a look?
Well, but this is what happened. Okay, let's run it. Yeah.
This is probably the final nail biting. 178. Okay, this is the win. But I did see. Give me a second, because I have here this one.
Okay,
wait up. I have a better one.
So basically, yeah. Yes. Also, but what are they called? All right. So during Israel's performance, 2 pro-Palestinian protesters attempted to disrupt the act, and resulted in a crew member being hit with paint. Apparently. So yeah, that was a big deal. That was a. I mean, you got to blame the organization, because they've always made this political, in my view.
To be honest with you, like, I'm not being funny here, but Israel isn't in Europe, and neither is Australia. I'm just saying, like, true. What the fuck? What?
So Israel came second then, I believe, right? Or
yes,
no?
Yes. I think they almost won, perhaps.
Right, and so and we still don't know who the heck Austria wins song contest, but what are they called? Austria wins.
Yeah, but
it was with JJ. That's the name of the artist. JJ's song "Wasted Love."
Wasted Love.
And yes, this was the Eurovision that took place in Basel, Switzerland. Basel, which is known obviously for the art festival.
Can I show something about Switzerland?
I mean, sure. Is it Swiss cheese or?
No, it's Eurovision related.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Check this out.
We don't have feelings, just money.
Sorry if my face doesn't always show my level of excitement. As Swiss, we have a hard time showing our emotions. I always say, we don't have feelings, we have money. Okay. Yeah, when I had my first child, I was so overwhelmed with joy, I almost smiled.
But when the televote delivered a glorious 0, even the chocolate started melting.
Switzerland, the viewers all over the world have awarded you 0 points.
Oh my God.
I don't know if that's real or not, but it sounds pretty bad. Like, they say 0 points, but maybe that was of a specific country. I don't know.
No, it's the audience. I was tuning in whilst I was doing some work. I did tune in, and so what they do is, like, I think each country gives them, but then the audience can award them like a certain amount of points.
Crowd over there.
So the audience awarded them 0. The audience was harsh because I saw
the same for the UK.
Yeah.
I have one for the UK right here. Like, Let me just show it.
All right. But yes, it's very interesting because I think we have to blame these organizations for politicizing things to the point where you get,
The songs are. But are we actually the worst at Eurovision? Believe it or not, the UK has actually won Eurovision 5 times. In 1967, 1969, 1976, 1981 and 1997.
It happens every year, though.
The current Eurovision leaders are Ireland and Sweden with 7 wins each. Meanwhile, the UK holds the record for coming second the most times out of any other nation. 16 times all in all, with Sam Ryder coming second most recently in 2022 with Spaceman. So which country is famous for getting the dreaded last time?
But yeah, apparently they got like 0 as well.
I'll be honest with you. I think the majority of these people who, because I caught a few, I can't remember who, but the ones that I did catch, they're just it's bad. It's just bad. It's not something you would listen to ordinarily.
No,
I mean, the only time
good music.
The only time the Eurovision Song Contest was worth watching, or the winner that I thought deserved, was Lordi from Finland. You know that metal band?
I remember that.
Yeah,
I was actually doing my army service and I saw it like in the army base.
That was the only time. Every other act right now, they're just doing it over the top, performative wise, and it's just like, oh, it's so ridiculous. It's so silly. It's very tacky.
And it's all political. Like all
it does get politicized.
Scandinavian countries vote for each other. Maybe Albania, Cyprus for Greece, and
it's unfortunate that it gets politicized. And again, I think we have to blame the organizers for these events to allow it to happen. Because even with this event, I did hear, like, I saw some of the host or whatever babble on about a few things that were politically charged, and this should be entertainment, and people should just enjoy the music for what it's worth, and that's it. You shouldn't be like attacking somebody from what country they are. But they did this actually interestingly enough. This happened where was the Olympics. Remember the Olympics, right? So with the Olympics, the last Olympics, the Israel-Palestine conflict had just been in its had just been erupting. It had just been happening for over a year now, right? Even though you could claim that it's been happening over decades. But the Olympic board, which has always stated they were never political, decided to ban Russia and Belarus from participating in the Olympics. But China is allowed, but Israel is allowed, but a Palestinian representation is allowed. So all the Russian athletes, all the Belarusian athletes, they could only participate as independents. Now, here's the problem, right? If you want to represent true human values, and you want to represent liberal values, and you want to represent equal rights and stuff like this, you should not penalize people just because of where they come from. And it's not fair. You can do investigations all you want and check if these people are like agents and what have you, right? But you're going to penalize them and then claim that you're not political. And then here we have, again, another situation, right? You got an Israeli performer, and then all of a sudden, I don't know if it was staged or not, but then you had that whole situation with the pro-Palestinian protesters. And look, I support the right for people to protest for a valid cause, it is valid. Don't get me wrong. Like, there is definitely, you deserve to, but we're talking about like now something where it just has no place there. Like, I'm sorry, but like, it is a platform
with music.
I think that there should be platforms for this, more platforms to have these people's voices spoken about these issues. Don't get me wrong. And they're probably not being given those platforms because there's also a lot of censorship going on, as we have seen. It does occur. I know for a fact, especially for a lot of people who are critical of Israel, that they're being, censored in some cases. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm looking at it for what it is, right? This is a bloody European silly stupid song contest, right? And we shouldn't even have the goddamn country participating in the first place because it's not in Europe, right? I mean, if it's participating, why don't you get China or USA to participate? Meanwhile, I don't know. I just think it's
Japan.
Stupid. It's just dumb. Yeah, but then let Japan go in and then stop
Japan
calling
would have been fun.
Eurovision Song Contest. I don't know. But we're going to
I
go
know
for
the
a small break.
contest is there. Yeah.
Because we'll be right back. And then we're going to carry on. I think we're going to go into we have another segment here which is quite interesting. It's taking place in the United States of America, in fact. But we need a little break. I need a little break. Come back, and I leave it with you, Edge.
Yeah, sure.
Hello.
All
Welcome
right, so
back.
we're
We're back.
back.
You can. Is there a way you can make it full screen sometimes, or?
No, unfortunately. I wish I could.
Oh,
I was
okay.
trying to figure out how I could, but I couldn't. So yeah, unfortunately.
We have to still work out some of these things because we're using
Yeah,
this.
some of the kinks.
Yeah, because we're running off a different platform here.
To be honest, maybe
He
if I
says you can.
compress the video, like
No,
from
no.
YouTube.
He says you can. Okay, well, we'll check it out later. We'll talk about it later.
And I upload it on Restream.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Right. Yeah, I think it's different when you have it there. Yeah.
But I really need to compress it, and it might lose quality.
Yeah,
But we'll see.
Scuffed. It's fine. Welcome back, everyone. And yeah, he says no need to compress. It's our tech guy. Okay. Well, I guess we'll talk about it later. So where were we? We were just finishing off the Eurovision Song Contest. So yes, congratulations to JJ, I guess, from Austria.
No, the song was awful. Like Sweden should have won it.
Sweden.
Seriously.
Okay. I know.
Yeah.
Can you give a little sample of both? Just a little some of both. Let's see here what the finalists sounded like, and then what Sweden apparently Sweden was better. I don't know. To be honest, I find them all very just trashy. They're not that good.
Okay, let's hear the winner first.
I don't know about this.
Wait. Like that.
How come we're not on the screen? Oh. Ooh, it's a bit laggy. Yeah, I'm falling asleep. I mean, it's
boring.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not really. That's what I mean. Like most of these songs, they don't really like do much for me. They're
Check
not
this
like.
one out. This is Sweden.
Okay. Bara.
Nu är det dags, all bekymmer försvinner strax.
It's even got a fire.
Very laggy.
Like gypsy tongue.
I heard this now one. Yeah. Yeah, this one's better. On you. Yeah, this one's yeah, okay, I guess.
Had a bit
full
of a
screen on YouTube. He's saying, all right. Yeah, when you're on YouTube, you can just put full screen. It'll like constrict it.
Oh, okay. On my own screen.
Yeah, it won't take up your whole screen, but it'll constrict it because when I've done that.
Okay.
Right. So what are we on to next? We're on to U.S. immigration and deportation policies.
What is going on?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Go on.
Mm-hmm. So you don't want to visit the U.S. and just stay there a bit longer than you're supposed to, because they're going to come after
your
you.
visa, basically.
Like
right.
It would make sense, but like stuff happens.
Yeah. So the U.S. Embassy in New Delhi issued a warning about the severe consequences of overstaying visas, including deportation and permanent entry bans. The recent changes in U.S. immigration enforcement under Trump's administration have led to heightened scrutiny at borders, with policies allowing officials to deny entry based on ideological views. I mean, that goes without saying that that's nothing new about like denying entry to certain people with ideological views, because in Southeast Asia, as well as in the Middle East, as well as in I believe those are most, and perhaps even I think Central Asia, I'm not sure, but there have been cases of this where they take, like, if you have a criminal record seriously, or if you hold certain extreme ideological views, then it's not
easy.
surprising.
But even if you're in the States, like Hassan Piker, you're gonna get picked up.
I mean, the problem,
at the airport.
this brings up a situation of the impact of how these policies will affect international tourism and foreign relations. I think that the thing here is that people have always looked at like the United States as this sort of, place, this bastion of like, what they consider to be freedom, right? I use that in quotation marks, where it's like, it's kind of like a playground. It's like, oh, I can go to the United States and it's great and everything. They don't judge and stuff. But now it looks like they're sort of like tightening the guardrails a bit more and more and more. So now the United States, because the thing is, we have seen this in situations with, and actually oddly enough with streamers, right? With South Korea and Japan. So it's the whole case of Johnny Somali in South Korea, who was very disrespectful. And now he's looking at 31 years jail time in South Korea. And he's an American citizen, by the way.
That's crazy.
But the embassy ain't doing nothing because he disrespected.
Can you imagine you go on holiday somewhere and just because of your beliefs or something you posted online, like you can even like not be accepted in the country that you're in, but maybe they won't let you come home either. So you're kind of like Tom Hanks in the terminal.
Right. I mean, well, we're seeing this case happening. Like I said, like the case with Johnny Somali in South Korea, and now with Vitaly, another very well-known streamer. They were both on Kick. Now they're banned. And Vitaly's having the same case in the Philippines. And that's the thing, and these are both Americans, so it's kind of ironic, right? There's an ironic twist right now because right now the American immigration policy and they're denying people on the basis of like extreme views, ideologies, what they've been posting, etc. But in these other countries, it's been the case where there's been American streamers or American content creators who go there. They've been very disrespectful. They've broken laws that they didn't realize were laws, or maybe they did, they just didn't care because in the US they get away with it. Well, there you go. And
they get in trouble.
It has a lot to do, I think, with just in terms of the education system in general, because people I think take things for granted. You're in the United States of America and you believe like, okay, I can do whatever I want. Freedom of speech, right? But what does that really entail? And meanwhile, it's like you're going to other countries and you're not respecting their laws, their customs, and you should. But at the same time, I think now the United States is playing catch up because now they're saying, okay, now you have to respect our country, because the problem is that they've sort of slid, by the wayside for a long time, where it's just been, everyone can just go there, and in most cases, I think people have been respectful. Foreigners and tourists have been respectful when going to the United States. But I guess they're just being a lot more hardline now. You can't overstay your visa. Don't mess around. So I think, I think there's going to be some legal and ethical considerations on the whole ideological screening at the borders, for sure, because nowadays there's certain things that I think the current administration is considering to be quite anti-American, for instance, like that mentality, like people thinking that anti-American views are probably threatening, for instance.
Shall we see this video?
Yeah.
So, hang on a sec.
They had valid travel visas. Germany updated its travel advisory for the US this week after a number of its citizens were detained at customs and then deported.
What was intended as a short vacation turned into a nightmare. German tourist Lukas Silav was detained upon arrival in the US and hauled into a detention facility.
They put me in chains everywhere, around my stomach, on my hands, my feet.
Wow.
Then they put me in the van and drove me to the detention center in Satenko.
Lucas was returning to the US from a vacation in Mexico. He says he had a valid US tourist visa, but ended up spending 16 days in detention before being allowed to return to Germany. And his arrest is part of an apparent trend involving temporary visa holders and visitors being detained by US border officials on their way into the country.
All right, so it's pretty crazy. I mean, this was 16 days, but there are probably a lot of cases where people get a lot more. I mean, that we don't hear about.
Yeah. I mean, I think this will have some greater reverberations in terms of its tourist industry. There's going to be a lot more people who are like going to like question or rethink their plans to want to visit the United States.
That's the last thing you want, to go on holiday. And instead you come back a bit late. They ask you, so where have you been all this time? And you're like, I was abroad. And they're like, oh, nice. And then,
yeah, that's it's going to be. It will be interesting to see how this develops, but there have been a multitude of these cases from British tourists, German tourists. So the funny thing is, this is not even like what most people would argue are like, oh, you know, on one part, there's the whole illegal immigrant situation, people at the borders, like people of different ethnicities and so on. But now the funny thing is, it's not even, there's no bias here, because now it's even on like people like, just who would ordinarily be looked over just because, because there's, oh yeah, they're British, they're German, they're fine. Nope. Now it's everyone. So he does not discriminate here. He doesn't care. He doesn't like they don't care. You overstay your visa, they're gonna treat you just like everybody else.
Shall we talk about what happened with Trump and Comey?
Oh yeah, that was another
former FBI
little bit of a
director,
drama.
James Comey.
Yeah,
Don't
James
want
Comey.
to talk too much about the Secret Services because
So the former,
get whacked.
So the former, we need something in the soundboard like whack. The former. This is from where? This is
from ABC News.
ABC News. Okay. Oh God, you have to select the ABC News. You know the joke
Fake
about
news,
that, right?
Against Trump.
No, ABC. The ABC agencies.
Is that what they're called?
That's the joke. The joke. The ABC agencies are all. Yeah. They call them the ABC agencies, and now it's ABC News. So kind of ironic, anyway. But yeah, the former FBI director James Comey faced backlash over an Instagram post. Does it show it on the article? Featuring the number 8647, which some interpreted as a call for President Trump's assassination. So for those who are not in the know, basically 286 something is a term that developed originally from where I know of it, it's from like gastronomy, from kitchens, where they would say 86 this. It basically means to throw out or get rid of. Where does it originally come from?
I had to Google it as well, to be honest, and it does mean to get rid of.
Yeah. I've heard it in kitchens many times because I've had a lot of friends, and I also have at one point worked behind the counters. That's and they've used that term a lot, and it's mostly Americanized term, but it originates from the 1930s soda counter slang, meaning that an item was sold out. Actually,
it
however,
does mean to get rid of.
Yeah, but it's used. To 86 means to get rid of something. So going back to Comey,
and like here it says.
Do we have the Do we have the actual Instagram post though?
Yeah, I do. The old US slang that refers to getting rid of something or removing something. The slang was highly in use in restaurants back in the 30s, like back in the days of
soda counters,
gangsters, Al Capone. It's like 86 him.
Well, apparently it was it's kind of anecdotal as to its origin, but apparently from my understanding of what the historical background of it referred to when something was sold out, and then it became something to throw out.
Okay.
But yes, so he posted the numbers 8647, and obviously Trump is now the 47th president of the United States. He was the 45th, now he's the 47th. Do we and I don't know. Do we have the original Instagram? Did you see it somewhere?
Give me 1 sec.
Yeah. Comey has stated that he did not intend any violence or threat, explaining that 86 is a restaurant term meaning to remove an item. Well, that's the problem, though. Being the FBI director, you should know better. Or being the ex-FBI director, a former FBI director, you should know better that even any official person in that has held a previous position of authority, especially in intelligence or security services, that referring to the president or anyone in a political office when you're saying to 86, that doesn't matter. The connotation to it kind of means the same thing. To get rid of or throw out is violent. It is a threat. So
this is what Comey shared, like ex-FBI director, and he writes underneath, "Cool shell formation on my beach walk." And what's funny is that the 8 is like lighter colored. I don't know if it refers to like Trump's blonde hair, but yeah, 86, 47. So,
I mean, I'm gonna say it outright that James Comey is a bit of an idiot, and if he can
had a lot of past between them.
If he can, well, he is an idiot. This has nothing to do with Trump. But
but I do know that Trump got his house searched, and they actually found, allegedly they found some hidden documents or something ages ago.
Yeah,
but I'm not sure if that's true or not.
I mean, this is the same. This is the director of the FBI, right? Okay, who was heavily criticized by many people working in the FBI at the time. But this was the guy who in 2016 handled the investigation of the Hillary Clinton email controversy. Okay, that was scandalous. The fact that she got away with that, scandalous. That people, not only that, but that under her leadership, that people literally died. Okay, but I'm talking about the whole shit show with Libya. Okay, let's not forget that. And then on top of that, he also was the head of the investigation of the so-called Russian interference in the 2016 U.S. elections, as it related to the alleged collusion with Trump's presidential campaign, which was, as we discovered much later, was a total nothing burger. And this was the guy who just kept on delaying things, kept on saying we have to investigate. So James Comey is an idiot, okay? He's another example of how people get into political office or into positions of authority, and it's usually because they know a person or they have been given that position, usually because of favors. These people are, in this case, James Comey is an idiot. He is literally an idiot. I don't think I can safely say that.
Can we see what Trump has to say about it?
Well, you can, let's see what he has to say.
Just a little bit.
Trump he doesn't like he knew exactly what that meant. A child knows what that meant.
Exactly what that meant.
Hang on.
The FBI director, and you don't know what that meant. That meant assassination. And it says it loud and clear. Now, he wasn't very competent.
And maybe he's paranoid.
But he was competent
he tried to assassinate
to know what that meant. And he did it for a reason, and he was hit so hard. Because people like me, they like what's happening with our country. Our country has become
our country.
Did it for a reason, and he,
so yeah, he went like full on. Like he knew exactly what he was doing.
I mean, he's right. I mean, this is not like this is not some schmuck on Facebook or something. This is not like some ordinary person who's just saying like.
But he didn't put a hit on his head, like.
No, he didn't. But
it was like for fun. It was a weird.
But he is the former FBI director. Yeah. And as someone who holds that, the gravitas of that position previously, you should know better. And to just play around with, you see, this is the trouble as well, is that there's no accountability for how we hold ourselves. Now, you can say the same about Trump, because he's been a bit crazy too with how he's gone about social media.
Just a little bit.
But the thing is, he is the president right now. And when you say such things like that, that does come across as a threat. And if it was anybody else, because people don't care now because it's Trump, but if it was any other president or any other politician, they would make a big ruckus about it. Okay. So the fact of the matter is, like, it's simply because it's Comey, who was the previous FBI. And this is a guy who was dealing with, national secrets. He was involved with the FBI. I mean, he was the head of the FBI. So he should know better.
And here on the ENDstream, we just to remind you guys that we don't take sides.
Yeah.
That just as there are probably many people against Trump, there are also a lot of people for him. So, and that's cool.
As you
Either
see, we're
way.
critical of Trump as well. I'm critical of him. I just said it. He warbles on a lot. He does ramble on a lot, and he just repeats the same thing. But he is right in this point that the one thing I can say is that Trump is right. That the guy's not a kid. He might have the intelligence of a child, and in this case, some children are even more intelligent than James Comey. But he didn't know what he was saying with 86-47. Let's be honest.
I think a lot depends on the context and like the situation.
Yeah.
He's in. Like he might say some stupid things. He might say some serious things. Like we're not like one or the other.
I mean, this is the director of the FBI who didn't find any wrongdoing with the Hillary Clinton email scandal. Literally. I mean, yeah, like it's whatever.
Was that the Pelosi case, Nancy Pelosi?
No, the Hillary Clinton case. The fact that she basically she had servers in her house, email servers, where actual confidential emails, top secret emails were going there. And it was, she committed a felony, basically. She should be behind bars for that. And then she bleached the servers, as Trump says. She bleached
them like his hair.
No. They basically wiped them clean.
Okay, yeah.
So
I know, because you have to wipe them a few times because once doesn't cut it.
Trying to cover the tracks. But anyway, the case of the matter is that she basically broke protocol. She had those servers for God knows how long. She was running these emails. I mean, this was the biggest scandal ever. Like it was, and a lot of people tried to point this as like some sort of like, people tried to point this as some sort of witch hunt against her, but it wasn't. It's like she literally, she broke. I mean, it wasn't even breaking the law, but she's literally doing what they're accusing of people like Snowden doing. So, I mean, come on now.
Like WikiLeaks, but without the leaks.
I think I don't know, like you want to cover a bit? We're going over the hour a bit, up until half past, I guess, just because shall we? And then
let's do this. So
oh god, Hassan
Piker.
All right.
So he was temporarily banned from Twitch. And,
temporarily banned from Twitch, meaning like one day.
He says a lot of stupid things, just as Twitch has to punish him. That's also how much they need him, not because they probably like him, but it causes controversy. That's why people go onto Twitch and these sort of platforms.
He's the golden boy of Twitch, though, because Dan Clancy
hates him. Yeah.
No, but he's the golden boy because Dan Clancy loves him. And like Dan Clancy, who's he's the CEO of Twitch, I believe. He loves Hassan Piker, and Hassan Piker gets away with everything pretty much. Whereas other Twitch, well, not only Hassan Piker, but a lot of his minions, his orbiters, as they call them, and whereas other Twitch streamers, big Twitch streamers, have been penalized far worse.
Yeah,
for far less, actually.
That's for sure. You just get banned on that platform for nothing.
One of the reasons he was banned
or X,
he was banned from Twitch, and it literally was for like 1 day or two, after implying that Senator Rick Scott, Republican senator, should be killed, raising questions about the platform's moderation policies and potential double standards, which there are. This is part of the reason we do not
be an influencer and call somebody to be killed, because there will be some psycho who will be your fan and actually do what you want.
Well, this is interesting because this is exactly like, kind of like what we're just going off the back of the Comey thing, right? Because Comey's saying 86-47, and we're sort of like saying, okay, that's it. But, in this case, Hassan Piker is also a fool. He's an influencer, but he's got a considerable audience. And again, there's no accountability held here. So, they ruined Alex Jones for a similar thing, because
with Sandy Hook, right?
Because the claim is, and this is the claim, because I'm sorry to say, but they claim that Alex Jones basically influenced his viewers to go harass the parents of the Sandy Hook shooting victims, right?
I don't think he knocked on their door, but
but they claim that he influenced them on screen by claiming that it was fake. But
because he said something about the
it could
murders.
be that it could be fake or something. The thing is, this is so far removed from what Hassan Piker is doing, where he's literally saying that guy should be killed.
The parents were liars and stuff, so that's so the parents.
So that's what he alluded to, Alex Jones, and he's apologized for it. But the thing is, it's so far removed from what Hassan Piker is doing, where Hassan Piker is legitimately saying he should be killed, which is a call to arms,
just like that.
Whereas Alex Jones just said, I don't believe this happened. This is all like, this is all false. No one died.
A lot of people have weapons. Yeah.
Sorry?
And in the States, you can just buy like assault rifles from Walmart.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like the double standard here, for example, is that Alex Jones lost God knows how much, went through so much hell over the fact that he questioned the legitimacy of this shooting, right? And questioned whether it was true or not. He never called for there to be any violence done against the parents, right? Hassan Piker, however, is calling for violence. And meanwhile, he gets a slap on the wrist and 2 days off. That's it. He doesn't lose billions of dollars.
Enough energy to get enough strength for his next accusations.
We're just seeing the double standards here of how it works, right? And by the way, Alex Jones is still deplatformed off most social media because of that.
Yeah. He doesn't have his own real platform, does he? He has his website. It's from Rumble. I'm not sure. InfoWars.
I think he's on Rumble. Yeah, but last time I checked, he didn't call for violence against anybody. So anyway, this the consistency and transparency in the content moderation by platforms like Twitch are really being exposed. Also by previous major Twitch streamers like Asmongold, Tectone, many others who are coming forward and exposing it. This is part of the reason we don't stream on Twitch, because I have observed Twitch from very early on to now. And when Kick came around, I liked Kick because Kick, and the Kick has its own flaws, right? Because of a lot of crazy streamers like Johnny Somali and stuff. But Kick is trying to basically, they're the new kid on the block. They're trying to develop, and they're trying to also implement changes, but within reason, right?
Yeah.
And they are a major competitor now to Twitch, because they're not trying to become like Twitch, because Twitch has always had a double standard. They've always been much more lenient to their golden streamers, and then they penalize ordinary streamers.
Yeah. We can say a few names, like, or actually we can't.
Call them out.
Let's not call them out. It's not even worth it.
we're very small in the game.
It was Asmongold. It's not even like PewDiePie anymore. Maybe Soda Poppin', maybe Swifty, World of Warcraft players, all these gacha gamers. And then now you have all these like real life fake ass streamers where you have these like half naked girls on there. I'm just putting it out there, like
these
having
are
their stuff out. And they expect these little like simps, these boys or whatever, to like, because that's the thing, you can donate on these platforms. I'm not saying donations are bad. It's kind of like Patreon or like Buy Me a Coffee and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just over the top on Twitch.
It is.
It's not just about gamers and the community. There is this like, I don't know, this sort of filth on these community. It just feels fake. Like it doesn't feel like a genuine community. It feels a bit weird.
And very superficial. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Well, I mean, so I mean,
not for all streamers on there. I just want to say, just for some of them.
But Hassan Piker got a bit of a a schooling, right? Because he got apparently arrested. No, he was detained. I think he was detained. He was detained, wasn't he?
Well, apparently he was talking in favor of some. Was it Hamas or something? I don't know. To be honest,
I mean, basically, the story goes that he was stopped and questioned about his political views by U.S. Customs and Border Protection.
Maybe they had it planned, like to holds him at the border, or somebody called him out, like swatting, or
it could have been that too. But it was at Chicago's O'Hare Airport, which was last Sunday, I think. And the reason for why, so his view was that he thought he was being targeted because he's been a very prolific, political left-wing progressive streamer online. And
he has had his political views, but like lately he's been like calling out a lot of other streamers just to get even more popularity for himself. And by doing that,
let me just show you this. Let me show you this. Where is it? Here. The fact that he could post this, I got stopped by CBP at Global Entry for additional questioning. I'm out. It wasn't that bad. Very strange experience. Go ahead.
Wasn't that bad?
You have enough time to post an Instagram
Wasn't that
post.
Bad?
Or whatever
like
the hell
this is. You're still in
is.
the airport or the toilets.
Sorry,
or
is this?
You're still
this
detained.
is X, right? This is X, right, or something.
He's like dying for views.
But that's the point.
So
this is
desperate.
Nothing.
He's desperate. He's like. I mean, if he was in jail, he'll be like, "Yes, I can get more views."
This is pretty much because actually he has, like you said, platformed. What was it? A pirate? A Yemeni? No, it was a. Yeah, a Houthi. Sorry, good lord, a Houthi pirate of sorts on his stream, and then he alleges now that it wasn't that
Not
they were one of them.
Yeah,
and then he's also basically he's platformed a lot of crazy things that otherwise anyone else would be deplatformed or banned. And I give you an example: Nick Fuentes. He's someone who has very wild views from the right. Okay.
Yeah.
Very hyper traditional, hyper conservative. He says some wacky, wild things. Okay. Very similar to what Hassan Piker does. And guess what? Nick Fuentes is deplatformed. He's banned. He's persona non grata, right? But Hassan Piker, he gets away with it because he's the golden boy of Dan Clancy, the CEO of Twitch. And guess who's calling this out too? H3H3. Ethan Klein, he's also calling it out, and he also exposes
that
Dan
video
Clancy.
is wild, like both of them like going at each other.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I think H3H3 was better in that debate, but they kind of were talking over each other.
Yeah. But okay, so I think what we'll do is we'll call it.
No. We still have like a few things to talk about. Okay.
Let's do like a what do you call rapid fire?
Very quick recap. So, let's talk about the gossip stuff. So there was this like Taylor Swift, and like
Rhode
in
Island
her area, there's been like this serial killer who's been like offing a lot of people here and there.
Wow, how many?
And I don't know if it's her doing this stuff or someone else, or they're mistaking her for someone else.
Maybe it's her fan base, the Swifties. They're ruthless, so.
But just a heads up for everyone living there.
This is New England in the United States, so this happened in Rhode Island, but these remains washed up apparently to her property or something. That's what I heard.
So maybe they're like thrown in the.
But apparently they're linked to a potential serial killer. So this is the thing. There's a serial killer out there, which is crazy. I'm trying to get to the article myself.
Yeah, I'm trying
to
find
it. Docket is massive. Yeah, here we go. Page 6. So on Wednesday morning, police in Westerly were called to Everett Avenue in the Watch Hill neighborhood following reports of possible remains. When officers arrived at the location, when officers arrived at the location, which is just 0.3 miles from Swift's home, they located what appeared to be a human leg bone.
Where's this from?
This is from page 6. I guess I'm not familiar with page 6, but
yeah,
it talks about. But at least we have a little map here. They collected the remains and transferred them to Rhode Island Medical Examiner's Office for further analysis. The case is being investigated by Westerly Police Department Detective Division. Taylor Day, a Westerly resident, happened to be driving by the alarming scene as investigators were arriving. So, hold on, let's have a look here. Oh, God, this is terrible. Wait, maybe I can zoom. Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
So this is, I think, where she lives, and so it's not even that close.
Very
Actually,
close.
It is close. It's 7 minutes, I guess, but it's not really like outside. I mean, to be honest, this doesn't really have anything to do with Taylor Swift.
I mean, it is California. It's just because she lives like there.
This is more to do with like a potential serial killer that's on the loose, maybe. But hold on,
that's for sure. But she was stalked or something, like in that Bodyguard movie with Whitney Houston. At one point.
Oh, here, this is the more important part. There have been a dozen discoveries of human bodies and remains in multiple northeastern states in recent months, leading residents to worry about
That's
possible.
pretty general, like northeastern states. Like if you consider the size of America and how many million people live there.
But who seemingly targets women. So that's where the whole serial killer thing came about.
Okay.
Oh god. Okay. Yeah. This link just goes to like a whole thing of like a profiler talking. Yeah. There's not much.
Wrap this up and like move on to the next thing.
Yeah. Go on. Yeah. This is kind of like a nothing.
Okay. So in other news, this fertility clinic was bombed basically, and
in California, right?
In California, exactly. And
jeez. That's crazy.
Hang on a sec. Let's find more information about this. Because it just happened, I think, yesterday or before yesterday.
Yeah, it was Palm Springs. It was in Palm Springs, and it was on.
And it was a car bombing.
Right.
And
there was another car. That reminds me of a previous car bombing that happened in the United States. Remember? That was not too far off.
Yeah. Basically, they arrested a 25-year-old who was anti-pro-life for some reason. Because, fertility clinics, it's like, what's it called? In vitro or
IVF?
IVF.
In vitro. Wait, but so he was anti-pro-life.
Yeah.
So he's pro-human extinction or something. All right.
What can I say?
So he's not on Elon Musk's fan list then, I guess, because Elon Musk wants to populate the earth.
Yeah, pretty much. He has so many kids, and so the authorities are treating this like an act of terrorism.
A former computer technician and 25-year-old, as you said, guy.
Yeah, he was probably a gamer. Like they're blaming gamers for everything.
Particus, yeah. He had nihilistic views. And he identified himself as the perpetrator of the bombing in a video posted online in which he described himself as a pro-mortalist.
Well,
saying in the manifesto.
That's the end of him.
These people always have manifestos. That's the problem. He had a manifesto too.
That's the worst thing.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a sign of the times, in my opinion, because he's 25. So he's like, what? He's considerably Gen Z. He's part of Gen Z, and like this is the trouble. This is the mental health situation that's only worsening, as I've said, and the fact that he has nihilistic views. Well, no wonder. Like and this is. I mean, I remember not too long ago I read. I wish I had it with me right now, but there was an article I read not too long ago, which was a prediction from some psychoanalysts who claimed that we're going to see a surge like we did back in the late 60s up until the 80s. Of serial killings, of these lone gunmen types and stuff like this. This is going to start happening again because you have that happened off the basis of World War II and the unresolved PTSD. So many of those guys, that perpetrated a lot of these horrific crimes right back in the day. Yeah. They were connected to the military, right? They were veterans. They were not all, but they were connected in some capacity. Or they were connected to some capacity, having been drafted, for instance, Or
I think they were veterans also because they were like, on the one hand, proud of their country, but also kind of disappointed by the way things are.
No, I think they were shell shocked. I think these were like people who were literally like they were messed up, and because of after World War II, that's the problem. Or they were from families that were broken by that. There are many cases if you go deeper into a deeper dive of this situation. So now what we're seeing right now is a mental health crisis, which hopefully we will cover at one stage later on, not now, but like really unpack that, because this is a real issue that is not being given enough attention. That is on the horizon. Like if you thought COVID was bad, if you thought all these other crises were bad and so forth. Like, the 2008 property crash, which created the whole economic recession. All of these things, like, it's going to get 10 times worse because there is a whole socio-psychological crisis, especially in the West, that's about to hit. There's so many younger people that are so messed up. There's no support system. There's no infrastructure. So there's no chance. So and only now the alarm bells are starting to ring, and this is no surprise that you've got this thing going on, because it's horrible. But I'm sure you look into his background. He's probably got obviously mental health issues. It's the problem.
Can we talk about like one last story for this?
One last story we wrap up. Yeah.
So do you know what this is? What we're going to talk about?
I have no idea. Surprise me. The Lufthansa flight. Yeah.
So
that happened.
So what happened is that there was a flight, Lufthansa flight, and usually there are two pilots in planes, like in big planes. So the first officer went to the bathroom, or the captain went to the bathroom.
Yeah.
The other guy collapsed.
Oh dear. Did they know why?
Nobody was flying the plane for 10 minutes.
It was on autopilot or something.
Hopefully.
I would assume that it hits into autopilot or something. I don't know how the I don't know how these things work. It
was without a pilot for 10 minutes. Now,
this is why I don't like flying.
It was an Airbus A321 that was flying from Frankfurt, Germany to Seville, Spain.
Oh boy,
in February of last year.
Oh man, this is why I don't trust planes, man. This is why I don't trust planes.
And full details of the incident came to light last Thursday. Like after.
Wait, so this happened a year ago? This happened a year ago?
Yeah,
okay,
February of last year.
This is why I don't trust airlines. I don't trust planes. After all the scandals with Boeing, and now this, good Lord.
How does
because they do internal investigations. They're like, oh, we're not going to say anything about it because then, after a year, it'll be too late. They can't sue us because everyone's, you know what I mean? Like, forget that, man.
The crazy thing is okay, the article says that the captain saw that what's it called? The other pilot was perfectly
co-pilot,
fine.
Yeah. So he's usually the navigator or the co-pilot.
Yeah. So the captain got up, went to the restroom or whatever it is. But then the article says here that he was unable to get back into the cockpit.
Oh yeah, because that door because that door can only open from inside, right?
Oh, so nobody could open it from the inside.
It's a security measure, so in case someone's trying to hijack the plane, they can't get into the pilot. Yeah, but then he should have known better. Oh, he didn't know that his co-pilot was gonna go on drop unconscious. So then how did he get in?
So what happened? He tried to contact the guy on the inside. Obviously, the guy was unconscious.
Oh man,
the co-pilot.
Yeah.
And then the captain had an emergency code, but before it expired, the guy who was unconscious was able to recover enough to open the door.
Okay.
So
the ending.
So without the guy recovering, who was like completely out.
That is crazy, man. This is just more incentive of why I don't want to fly on planes. I don't trust them.
That's insane. Obviously, they took the guy to
I
hospital.
I could go into a whole rant about the air travel industry and why I don't like them, but I won't.
But yeah, that was a close
okay.
call.
Well, so that only came out recently. Interesting. Imagine the amount of other things that haven't come out yet, huh?
It's crazy.
Anyway.
We don't know of.
Yeah. I guess that we'll wrap that up there, and then we'll play. I don't know. Do you have something to play out?
Yeah, have the outro.
Cool.
And,
thanks for tuning in. This is the end. ENDtv, ENDstream. The end of the ENDstream. We hope to see you again. Tune in, of course, to Rumble and YouTube, where we upload weekly videos. of news-related topics. And also, we hope to see you again for the ENDstream. We will be hopefully on Friday, if all goes well.
This Friday.
So,
yeah, stay tuned to watch our videos on the ENDtv channel on YouTube. Kick and Rumble.
Kick and Rumble over the ENDstream, actually. Yeah. And join the Discord.
Yeah.
Follow us on X as well. Follow us on X. And yeah, thanks a lot for tuning in. And we hope that if you weren't here live and you catch the stream after, hopefully you'll join one of the streams live. We're still tweaking and fine tuning things. So, all right. Take care of yourselves. Take care of yourself, Edge. Have a good one. All right, let's go.
All right.